Now, let's reflect on the draft extracts of the long-delayed review into the government's counter-terrorism strategy and reports that it's revealing taxpayers' money was handed to organisations that had, quote, promoted extremist narratives. Well, key figures in organisations receiving funds from the Prevent programme alleged to have supported the Taliban, even defending militant Islamist bodies banned in the UK. Well, the programme's aim had been to safeguard vulnerable people from being drawn into terrorism. Well, let's speak now to national security expert Samuel Armstrong. Samuel, thank you for joining us. And it's obviously provoked a bit of a political row, particularly between Suella Braverman and Michael Gove, as to how much of this should actually be made public and open to scrutiny.
Yes, that's right. And let's not forget that this is a report that was finished almost a year ago. William Shawcross, who's done a number of these types of reports for the government in recent years, handed over this report, and he's very keen that it does get published. Now we see quite why it isn't. This is a hot-button political issue. The Conservatives made it a manifesto pledge in their last manifesto. I was involved in some of the discussions around drafting it, that they would end all government money going towards extremists of any variety. It now turns out that government money from the government's own counter-extremism project was going to extremists. This cannot be more of a disaster, of a stain on the reputation of the government's counter-extremism work.
Yeah, the original criticism, of course, was that the Prevent programme wasn't actually preventing, it wasn't doing much good. And I know that a lot more was then put into it in terms of manpower and money. Is that the problem, that they pushed it too far the other way, if you like?
Well, the big problem with Prevent is it exists as a counter-extremism problem. What is extremism? What isn't extremism? Tough issues to define. So the government really tried to tie it closely, originally, to terrorism. That is to say, extremism is extreme ideas that could lead towards terrorism. That, though, got very difficult because it led to a focus on tackling the number one form of terroristic danger in the UK, which is Islamist terrorism. Members of the Muslim community and civil liberties campaigners, a number of others, said this isn't fair, this is racist, this is dreadful. So the programme got pushed towards tackling popular forms of extremism to counter, that is to say, mainly the far right. And it ended up shoving masses of resources into tackling forms of extremism that weren't leading to as much terrorism. People getting referred to Prevent for sharing Nigel Farage videos, for example, ridiculous stuff. And instead, it's left a glaring gap in tackling the real problem of extremism within the Muslim community.